Ministers are set to pump billions of pounds of public money into new nuclear power station in North Wales. Ministers are set to pump billions of pounds into a new nuclear power station in North Wales. Business Secretary Greg Clark raised the prospect of direct public investment in a reactor for the first time in decades. Any cash injection for the project at Wylfa on Anglesey will be made alongside the Japanese government and Horizon Nuclear Power, a subsidiary of Japanese giant Hitachi. The move was welcomed by the nuclear industry and unions, but condemned by environmental groups. Wylfa is planned to start generating electricity by the mid-2020s, providing energy to 5 million homes, or 6% of the UK's total energy needs. Making a statement in the Commons last night, Mr. Clark said, "We will now be entering into negotiations with Hitachi on the next phase of the Wylfa project." Both the National Audit Office and Public Accounts Committee have recommended that the government consider variations from the Hinkley Point C financing model in order to reduce costs to consumers. Mr. Clark said commercially sensitive negotiations with Hitachi will now start. This is an important next step for the project, although no decision has been taken yet to proceed with the project, and successful conclusion of these negotiations will be subject to full government, regulatory and other approvals, including but not limited to value for money, due diligence and state aid requirements. It remains the government's objective in the longer term that new nuclear projects, like other energy infrastructure, should be financed by the private sector. Alongside our discussions with developers, we will be reviewing the viability of a regulated asset-based model as a sustainable funding model based on private finance for future projects beyond Wylfa, which could deliver the government's objectives in terms of value for money, fiscal responsibility and decarbonization. However, Kate Blagojevic, head of energy at Greenpeace UK, said the economics of the power plant were farcical. The notion that new nuclear will be good value for money is farcical when it's so much more expensive than cleaner, safer renewable alternatives that are faster to build, she said. The economics are so weak that private investors have refused any involvement and the government is having to bail out this disastrous project before construction has even begun. This should be a red flag to the government that it is a terrible deal. Carolyn Lucas, co-leader of the Green Party, said, "This announcement takes us a step further towards a calamitous mistake by a government who are utterly failing on energy policy. Taking a stake in this nuclear monstrosity would see taxpayers locked into the project, and paying out for a form of electricity generation that's not fit for the future." Tom Greatrex, chief executive of the Nuclear Industry Association, said, "Today's announcement, which reiterated UK government support for civil nuclear as a vital element of a future low-carbon power supply and confirmed the Horizon Wylfa Nuid project as the next element of our new build program, is good news towards meeting our decarbonization targets." Mr. Clark did not comment on claims that a guaranteed price for the electricity generated at Wylfa is expected to be around £15 per megawatt-hour, less than the £92.50 so-called strike price awarded to EDF for the Hinkley Point C nuclear power station being built in Somerset. Unite officer Peter McIntosh said, "We welcome the government's decision as it could create thousands of jobs during its construction, as well as generating highly skilled employment throughout its operational lifetime. This will be a step in the right direction and could be an accelerator for growth generally." Wales First Minister Carwyn Jones said, "It is a highly significant milestone for the Wylfa Nuid project, which has the potential to transform the Welsh economy." Speaking in the Commons, Shadow Business Secretary Rebecca Long-Bailey welcomed the announcement but said she was deeply concerned by the way in which the negotiations were taking place. She said, "Without sufficient detail and transparency, this House is currently unable to determine the risks and benefits borne by consumers and taxpayers in this proposed deal."